Okay. All right, so welcome everyone to today's online session on the essence of cybersecurity and data protection in NiPost. I want to assure you that this training is going to be enlightening, and you're going to understand quite a lot of intricacies that we are involved with in NiPost to help carry out the task effectively and securely. Now, the law based on NDPC had been passed, and so ignorance is not a bliss anymore. And so in the times of saying that, in the time past, we can go away with some illegalities in carrying out our duties as regards public property and information, that is data as it were. But in the days that we are now, we must be informed, we must be aware of some of these policies that have been put in place, and therefore carry out the right step to limit or mitigate some of these challenges. So first, we're going to look at the first dimension of the essence of protecting NiPost's property and protecting our name out there. That is in the area of cybersecurity. So, we have moved from the conventional paperwork. Way back then, NiPost had moved from that conventional to the digital, whereby posting of letters and documents and items are done electronically, over the tablets. You register letters and, both local and international, right? And so you need to safeguard these areas. Now, there are people out there that are willing to steal information, that are willing to sabotage NiPost electronically as well. They are out there, and we're going to see them, identify them. Sometimes you have come across them, but you don't know who they are. So it's going to be a problem in trying to safeguard yourself when you come in contact with them. And then the second part is we're going to see how we protect the data, people's data that NiPost holds already. Okay, so let's, without further ado, let's jump into the training. All right, so the need for cybersecurity and data protection in NiPost. So you can see in today's digital age, where information has become one of the most valuable assets of many, as a matter of fact, most organizations. So the cybersecurity and data protection have emerged as critical pillars of organizational reliance. So as the Nigerian Postal Service continues to evolve into a technology-driven institution, you can bear me witness. You walk across most of the post offices across the nation, responding to you. They use their digital devices, laptops or tablets, or if those are not available, you use phones actually to be able to complete your transaction. So NiPost have taken measures to see how it mitigates attacks on some of our services. Now, there are many organizations out there who have suffered backlash from cyber criminals, and that is why we want to create awareness, all right, in NiPost. And then, so we see how NiPost has expanded services to digital communication, logistics, financial inclusion, and technology. We have financial services now, and you can imagine if a cyber criminal have access to this information. I'm telling you, it's very easy for them to have access to some of these platforms if we do not take the required security measurement. And that is what we are doing here. So customer data and operational integrity has become indispensable. People come to NiPost. Now, NiPost is a major player in, hosting data. All right, we deal with mails, we deal with cargo, we deal with people's information. Very important we take cognizance of what we do and then secure them and people's information. I tell you, in today's activities, We have not started seeing a lot of litigations because people are not aware of the new right that they have regarding their information and data. And so we must put systems and infrastructure in place so that we will, secure ourselves from being prey to some of these, challenges that have emerged in our society. That is insecurity in the cyberspace. All right, so I've talked about this forward. Let's go into what we have today. Like I rightly said, we don't have much time. So what to expect? So in this training session, we will delve into the world of cybersecurity, and then we'll explore the method employed by hackers. Now, the word hackers is a generic term used for the bad actors now, people who exploit systems and organizations electronically in the cyberspace. So we call them cyber attacks. Now, there are different kinds of cyber attacks. One of them is even the warheads, okay? And then another one, we have the attack through economics. Yeah, but this one is accessing your data, your financial, details and your personal information. Yeah, so we're going to, demystify the word hackers or the cyber criminals in just a moment. But let me at this stage use the word. Afterwards, you'll be able to understand the differences and how you would want to deploy them. So we'll explore the method deployed by hackers, dissects the anatomy of cyber attacks, the kind of attacks that come. You'll be able to know that this attack is, you differentiate them as they were. And importantly, learn the best practice and tools to fortify and defend your system and organization. All right. So now this training will help you go a long way, not just for the organization NiPost, but as an individual. I'm sure most of us have one or two things you do for yourself. You have your phone, you have your laptop, and some of us have businesses that we run, and you have bank accounts and other information that you store for yourself. So if you understand how to secure that of NiPost, you will be able to secure your own cyberspace as well. Okay, so there are pegs for individuals as well. So let's go ahead and explore some of these things. Now, Sun Tzu said something, and so he says one of his guiding principles was to know your opponent. While he was specifically referring to war, much of his advice translates to other aspects of life, including the challenges of cybersecurity. So he says, know your opponent, understand who they are, understand how they operate, understand their skills. And if you understand them, then you'll be able to strategize and guard yourself against, their gimmicks and tactics. So he says, if you know your enemy, the enemy, and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. So that is why you want to understand what you should do to be able to, protect yourself from the enemy. So we're going to see who are these enemies, so you know them. When you see their appearance, either in the physical space or in your system or phone or whatever it is, you'll be able to identify, oh, this is not safe. I shouldn't, do or have any transaction with this enemy, as it applies to this case right now. All right, so okay, so just the background now. It's talking about back then, in the 70s and 80s, hackers. When we talk about hackers are actually people who actually, are computer hobbyists. All right, they play around some of this to understand how it works, and then to secure it. And then to secure something, you want to experience or explore the limits it can take, or the vulnerabilities that are there. It's like those who design or build vehicles, cars, they don't just create something and put it in the market. They want to test the limit. What can it endure? How far can it go? What pressure can it take? And when they have that in place and in check, they measure it based to the acceptable standard for human consumption or use before they put it out there. And so these are the work of hackers way back then. But as the time change and things emerge, people begin to take advantage of that and begin to exploit unsuspecting, customers and users. All right. So what do they attack? All right. So the cyber criminals, what are they after? They are after your information and data. And in the world today, there are, large organizations and companies that we have our information there. People like most of us have Gmails, most of us have Facebook accounts, and you belong to an organization, as in this case to NiPost, and your information is there. You have a bank account where you have monetary transaction. All these are companies that store your information and data. And so these cyber criminals go after these companies, all right? They go there to steal and to get your information and carry out malicious activities with them. And so it's important that we understand what needs to be done to mitigate, all of these things. Okay. Yeah, so who are the cyber criminals? Let's begin to unravel them. Let's begin to unfold them, all right? Like I promised, you will have the material, and then you'll be able to go back and look into it. So the first set or kind of cyber criminals are called the amateurs. And the amateurs are young children. During the holiday, I was able to teach some kids on cybersecurity during the long holiday, and some of them on coding. And so these young ones would want to try out and see, this thing I've learned, let me see how it works. And they would not be able to, they won't do it on a safe space. They will go into live production spaces and try to, let me see if I can access this computer without the person's knowledge. Let me see if I can hack into this website. Let me see if I can have access to this security camera and all of that, using the codes, and even coders as well. So they want to try out new things, all right, and see how they can exploit it. So by so doing, they get to infringe on public systems or individual rights. Some of you will bear witness how you put password on your phones. For your little children, just in a moment of time, they've cracked it and then they know what your password is. Or on your computer, just in a moment of time, they know what it is. So these are amateurs. So sometimes they do these things. So amateurs do these things not for malicious purposes. They do things just to explore, just to see something I can do new. That's what kids are. They just want to see how much they can do. And so by so doing, they breach, people's privacy and all of that. Just like we have in the conventional way in the house or in your homes, they break the TV. Sometimes they operate the microwave wrongly and it gets bad. They spoil all of these things at home. They are not intentional. They don't want to break your TV at home. They don't want to spoil your phone. Sometimes they take it and dump it in water. They are not intentional of hurting you. They are just trying out things to see how it works. So these ones are out there, and you can be a victim when they are trying out their exploits or expeditions, all right? So now we have the hackers. These are the hackers. No, now hackers, these are a group of criminals. They break into computers and networks to gain access for various reasons, which we are going to see. So the intention, now we have three different kinds of hackers. They have been categorized into three, which in a moment of time we're going to see. We have the white hat hackers, H-A-T, white hat hackers, the black hat hackers, and then the gray hat hackers. So who are the white hat hackers? Now, all of these people are hackers, but the intent of carrying out their activity defines the purpose or defines them or who they are. So the white hat hackers actually are what we call the penetration testers. We call them the pen testers, penetration testers. They're more like consultants. They come to your organization and says, okay, we want to see the vulnerabilities you have and then see how we can help you secure it. And then you all sign contract and then they say, okay, go ahead. So on their own, they'll try to break into your organization. And if they can break into your organization, then they'll come and tell you, well, we have been able to break into your organization through the cyber space. And then these are the vulnerabilities we see. You are not secured here, here, and here. You may need to guard that, and they will recommend how to secure that space in case the criminals come to attack you. So these are the white hat hackers. The black hat, basically they do that for selfish reason. They come quietly, they don't tell you, you don't know. They snoop at you and then check your system, your organization for vulnerabilities. If they find any, they enter into your organization through the cyberspace and infiltrate, steal documents, steal information, even finances if they can, So these are the black hat for selfish gain. That's what they do. So they steal those information, they either sell it or do whatever they want to do with it. That is what black hat hackers are. And so we talk about the gray, just like the name implies, gray is in between black and white, right? And so the gray hat hackers are more like activists, as it were. They are not doing it for the purpose of your own safety, neither are they doing it for the purpose of their own selfish gain, but for the generality of a system, a society, or a group. So sometimes there are certain people that hoard information, which is meant for public, and they are actually hurting the society. And so some of this group will come out and say, hey, stop this. We know what is going on. And, people keeping information. So for proof's sake, they will break into your organization, bring out the proof, and put it out there online for everybody to see and know that, wow, this is truth. So they are not doing that for selfish purpose, but for the generality of everyone. So that is what a gray hat hacker is, all right? So we have also the organized hackers right here. Organized hackers are actually state-sponsored. Government sponsor them. Government employ them to carry out some of these activities. So for reconnaissance purposes, for investigation purposes, people like EFCC, DSS, NSA, they have their hackers, all right, who break into systems of the cyber criminals. So that's why you hear them say they caught Yahoo boys here. They did. How did they find them? They actually hacked into their system and found them that they are cyber criminals, and so they tracked them and pinned them down. And then sometimes for countries and governments, espionage, they have people spying on other countries for things like that. Sometimes for safety, to understand if these people are planning anything evil against us, and so they prepare. So these are government-sponsored hackers, all right? Yeah, so so these are slides that give you detailed definition of the kind of hackers I just shared, which are the white hat hackers. These are ethical hackers who use their programming skills for good. So ethical and legal purposes. So white hat hackers may perform network penetration tests, like I mentioned earlier, penetration testing in an attempt to compromise networks and systems by using their knowledge of computer security systems. So once they discover the vulnerabilities, they let you know what to do and how to go about it. All right, so we have the gray hat hackers. So like I mentioned, so these are, people, they do unethical things. Of course, it's not government sponsored, but they gather these informations without permission and then put it out there so that people could see and understand, what is going on in the society. These are freedom fighters. These are, people who are standing up for a certain cause, as it were. And then the black hat hackers, like I rightly said. So these ones are unethical criminals. They violate computers and network security for personal gain right now. So, or malicious reasons, such as attacking networks and all of that. So black hackers exploit vulnerabilities and compromise computers and network systems, all for selfish purposes. All right, so as we wrap up this aspect of identifying who these people are, these are some modern hacking terms you may want to be familiar with. So perhaps you are reading some digest or some article, and it talks about a certain kind of hackers. You know who they are. You may not need, you won't be confused and say, who are these? So the script kiddies, like I mentioned, these are just young people exploiting or being expeditional in their activities. We have the vulnerability broker. The vulnerability broker is a gray hat hacker, okay? So they are the ones that come to you and then tell you, the white hat hackers, yeah, or they can be gray as well. So they attempt to discover exploits on your computer and then, ask you, okay, how much can you pay us to be able to carry out this security on your own system? And then sometimes they secure it and then say, pay us for this service. And then we have the hacktivists. Now, the hacktivists are also gray hat hackers. So like the name activists, so the one is hacktivists, all right? So they rally and protest against different political and social ideas. So hacktivists publicly protest against organizations or governments by posting articles, videos, and leaking sensitive information and performing distributed denial of service. A little later, we're going to see what the distributor denial of service is, as it pertains to securing your system. Yeah, so we have the cyber criminals. Of course, these are the black hat hackers who do that for malicious purpose. The state sponsored, like I mentioned earlier, these ones are government sponsored. An example of the hacktivists, actually, if you remember the man called Snowden, he worked with the Pentagon there, the American security system, and he was not happy with how they were spying on everyone using some powerful tools across the world. And so he stole data and left the organization and then exposed what America was doing as regards people's privacy, all right? And all of that. So that's an example of an hacktivist. And then the state-sponsored, like I said, these are people who government sponsor them. I mean, America is spying on Russia, Russia is spying on America, and China vice versa. Everybody is spying on everybody. So these are state-sponsored. They do these things just to be sure they protect themselves in case the other person is planning something terrible against you and all of that. Okay, so let's go ahead. Meanwhile, let me just see just a moment. Let me see if we have our SPM already, so I could acknowledge him. Mr. Phillips from Lagos, good to have you. Deborah Adeni, you're welcome. And Aliyu Zubeiru, good to have you from Kuje. All right. So I just wanted to be sure if our SPM is here, so I can acknowledge him. Okay. All right, Saminu Aminat, you're welcome. All right, it's not yet here, not to worry. Yeah, so cybersecurity threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks. So these are center focuses for cybersecurity professionals. Vulnerabilities, threats, and attacks. Very, very key. What you want to watch out for. So a threat actually is the possibility that a harmful event such as an attack will occur. So that is when they say it is a threat, that they just mention that this thing, there is a possibility that it will occur. It has not yet taken place, but that is a possibility and must be watched out for and mitigated. A vulnerability is a weakness that makes a target susceptible to attack. It could mean that you are working on a system without a firewall, without an antivirus. These are vulnerabilities. And sometimes you could have human vulnerabilities when the person is not knowledgeable, it's not skilled, doesn't understand, he doesn't know what is an attack, all right? And so that could be a human vulnerability, okay? Yeah, and an attack actually is a deliberate exploitation of a discovered weakness in computer information systems, either as a specific target or merely as a target of opportunity. So that is when it has been launched. So it's deliberate. Someone is intentional about what is doing. So I can't say that, oh, I remotely got into your system by mistake and I stole information, or I got information, or I saw what I needed not to see. So you can't say that was a mistake. As long as there is a system and a security in place and you have access to it, that is an attack, all right? And you must watch out against that. So cyber criminals succeed by continuously searching for and identifying systems with clear vulnerabilities. And that is why we need to be abreast with how we secure our systems. Wow. Okay. Actually, we're supposed to take this session for 1 hour and then another 1 hour for data security, data protection and security. But let's see how much we can. It's almost okay. All right. We have Mansur Abdullahi, HOD procurement in the headquarters here. You're welcome. And thank you, everyone. Yeah. So let's see how much we can cover right now. Yeah. So what is malware? Now, this is very important that we understand these things. We in the generic term, just like we use the word hackers for everyone that tries to exploit a system, but there are different types of viruses when it comes to programs that infiltrate your system. So what we call them, the generic name. So now you need to understand this so that you can be professional whenever you address some of these things. When you talk about virus and worms and phishing attacks and all, these are called malwares. So a malware is a software, or is a term used to describe software designed to disrupt computer operations or gain access to computer systems without the user's knowledge or permission. Now, another word which we use generically is virus. So we use virus for generic name for anything that infiltrates your system without your knowledge. So the proper name now is malware. That's the word malware for the generic name. So we're going to see the different types of malwares that are and how they attack us. So sometimes you are affected by malware, but you don't understand. You just thought your system is just acting up and everything is just fine. No, they are different. They operate differently, all right? And so we're going to see them today very briefly. we see the term used. Malware includes computer viruses, worms, Trojan horses, ransomware, spyware, adware, scareware, and other malicious programs. As I'm telling you right now, there are several names that emerged through the years, different kinds of malwares that attacks our systems. And so they come with different names and all of that. You may need to go through some articles on malwares to be able to identify them and mitigate. So let's look at viruses, worms, and Trojan horses. These are all different types of malwares, okay? So what is a virus? So a virus is a malicious executable code attached to another executable file, such as a legitimate program, all right? So most viruses require an end user initiation and can activate at a specific time or date. So computer viruses usually spread in one of three ways: from removable media, which is your flash devices, from downloads, maybe you're downloading a movie, and from the internet. So you just connect and you clicked on different kind of sites. So let's understand virus more clearly. It says it's a malicious executable code. What does that mean? It doesn't just get into your system and begins to carry out malicious activities on its own. It attaches itself to an executable file, like a movie. So you want to watch a movie. So when you download a movie that has virus on it, so you know, we go online and there are so many free movies. Now, trust me, there are no free things. There are free softwares. You say, oh, this is a nice game. This is Zuma, and then you want to just download it. So you just click on it, download it on your computer, and then you enjoy your game, you enjoy your movie. Fine, it's going to work perfectly. But what you don't know is that your system has been infiltrated. Information has been gathered, just waiting for the right time to attack you. Or probably they may not even attack you. All they need, they have already taken it and gone, you know? And so a virus activates itself once you execute that program. So like a video or a music you downloaded, once you double click to watch that movie, it begins to activate and begins to carry out. So that's what it means, it's an executable. Or a music or a picture. Once you download the picture from the internet, it will remain there. But once you double click to open that picture, the virus takes effect and begin to infiltrate your system. So it can move from flash to flash. So that is why it's risky. You just carry your flash drive and plug on any computer and copy information. And before you know it, you would have carried viruses from different systems and places you did not bargain for. Okay, so it's very, very important that we take note of a virus. What about a worm? Worm are malicious codes that replicates by independently exploiting vulnerabilities in networks. So worms usually slow down networks, whereas a virus requires a host program to run. So you see the difference now. Now, have you ever noticed where your computer runs very slow? You turn it on, it takes a while before it comes up finally, or you are a network engineer, and so your servers, when you turn them on, they run very, very slow. Even your phones, sometimes you press a button, you press an app, before it moves, it takes a while before it opens. Anything you do, it slows it down. Now that is a worm. Now a worm functions by replicating itself like an amoeba. These what's it called in biology now? They are also amoeba, these organic elements, so that just replicate themselves. So it's just like copy and paste. Once it gets into your system, it comes in as one, and in a moment of time, it has turned to hundreds, thousands, millions of the same malicious code. So all of them running at the same time on your computer slows your processors. So your computer begins to slow down. So this is a worm. So whenever you discover that your computer, your phone, or your servers are going very slow, slower than usual, one of the possibilities is you have been infected with a worm. A worm, has infected your computer. All right. So, but viruses actually run on a host, and a host can be a picture, can be a video file, can be even a document, a Microsoft Word document. It can be that, and that's how a virus functions. All right. So you can see the difference now. So a virus is not responsible for your computer slowing down. It is a worm. So you learn and identify that. And now let's look at Trojan horse. So a Trojan horse is a malware that carries out malicious operations under the guise of a desired operation, such as playing an online game. This malicious code exploits the privileges of the user that runs it. So a Trojan horse differs from a virus because the Trojan horse binds itself to a non-executable file, such as image files, audio files, or games. So you can see how a Trojan horse. Now, the Trojan horse came about, a story in the Greek mythology, how is it Greek or Romans now, gained access into a city by creating a giant wooden horse, and then they hid themselves inside the horse. And so when the people took the gift and went into the impenetrable wall or gate they have, and then they came out inside and infiltrated the city. So online gamers, here we go. You better be watchful the kind of materials you consume online. All right, you may want to do that from a safe space. Now, there are tools that could enable you to gain access to some of this safe. You have antivirus, you have a very good firewall, and avoid free things online. Most of these people put these things free online. Why do you think they put it out there for free? There's something they're getting from you. All right. So you just want to be cognizant of that. They spend a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars, to design those games and to put it out there. I mean, just even hosting it online will cost them a lot of money. Why would someone want to do that for free? There's something else they're getting. So we just have to be that security conscious. All right. Except you want to trade your safety and security for that pleasure. Else, maybe you want to go buy the game you want to play with your money. All right. And secure your system. Now, another one is ransomware. Okay. Now, ransomware operates pretty different. Once it attacks your system, it encrypts it. It takes it as a hostage. All right. And until you make a payment before they give you back your system. So they'll send you a code and say, use this code to open your system again, else you lost everything. So think of financial inclusion organizations like banks, like sensitive government organization. Your system, everything is just shut down. You can't operate, you can't do nothing. So what they do, they write a code and send it, and it could hit you. We are going to see one of the ways whereby you can get affected. You can get any of these things can attack you. All right. Once they have access to your system, it encrypts it. The only thing you can do, maybe you change the hard drive, put another one, reinstall operating system and start using. But every information that is in the old one is encrypted. And so they will call and ask or send you a message somehow, maybe via email, or maybe they have your contact number, and say, send us so amount of money before we release your system. And so if you comply and send the money, they'll send you a code that will decrypt your system and you'll have access to your computer again. All right. So one of the ways to mitigate some of these things is, you have a very strong firewall and all of that. And sometimes they find vulnerabilities and breakthrough. But one good way is to have backups. All right. Every single time, every single day, you back up your work on a separate hard disk and store it. So whenever they take ransom of your computer or system, you don't have to pay them. You can just change the hard disk, install another one, and then copy your information back, and then continue your work. Probably the only thing you'll miss is just what you have done that day before saving. So that's nothing much. You can do that again. All right. So that's ransomware. This is a malware as well. And it gets infected through the same flash drive, email, online pages, and stuff like that. All right. Okay, so now going deeper, we have what we call the backdoors and rootkits. These are very dangerous malwares. And this is what they do. The backdoor refers to the program or code introduced by criminals who had compromised a system. So the backdoor bypasses the normal authentication using an access as a system. So if you common backdoor programs are NetBoss and all of that, yeah. So the purpose of the backdoor, yeah, is to grant the cyber criminals future access to that system, even if the organization fixes the original vulnerability that was used to attack the system. So this is what a backdoor is. Just like the name implies, a backdoor. So it gets into your computer. It will not steal anything. It will not attack. It will not encrypt. It will not slow down your computer. It will create a backdoor. And you come into your computer, you turn it on, and you log in with your password, right? And you have access to your computer. Now, while working, and then you got infected by a backdoor malware. So what it does, the program goes inside and it creates another access for the user for future references. So it will create it, the person has the user account for your backdoor, and that's all. Your computer will work normally. When you're done with work, you close your system in an office and then you go home. 2 a.m., the guy will activate that system. He will come in and log in. This is where you see a system is shut down, everything, and then suddenly the screen comes up. The computer is up. And he logs in using his backdoor access. And he carries out his own malicious activities on the system. And that is a very dangerous one. So nobody is there, you're not doing it, he will carry out activities. And so tomorrow, they will say that, the organization was attacked and you were the one that did it. Based on forensic investigation, at 2 a.m. on Wednesday, you use your computer to log into the company's account and withdraw so amount of money. And you say, hell no. I wasn't in the office. I signed out. I am at home sleeping at that time with my family. How could I have done that? But forensic investigation is showing that transaction was carried out on your system at certain times. So that's what the backdoor's done. Very, very dangerous. Okay, so you want to look out for this kind of attack. So whenever you see things happen on your computer, sometimes you could be sitting down on your computer, you see activities going on. Someone had logged into your computer using a backdoor, open this page, do this, copy this, paste that, do this, and do that. On your computer, they have created a backdoor. They can have access to your computer remotely from wherever. All right. So that is one of the malwares. So a rootkit actually modifies the operating system to create a backdoor. So the rootkit and the backdoors worked hand in hand. So once it gets infiltrated, the rootkit is a malicious program that was sent in. So it will go in, change the setting on your operating system, and create a backdoor for the attackers to use whenever they want to have access to your computer. You don't want to have this kind of attacks because it's not only when you are there, even when you are not there, they have access to your computer and carry out malicious attacks. That could pose you in a very risky position whereby it will seem as if you as a person are the one carrying out that attack, but you are not. So we have the adware, spyware, and scareware. Now, these ones, you've encountered them so many times. And then these are their characteristics so that you can identify them. So the spyware, what it does is, how many of you have one time gone to a site? You are looking for a shoe. So you went to Google and type out Prada bags or Gucci bags or shoes or whatever it is. And after you finish searching, you saw the different types you want. Oh, okay, I like this one. You this is, and then you close the page. And then the next minute you pick up your phone, and then you begin to see adverts on Gucci bags, on Prada shoes, or whatever it is that they sell. Maybe you are looking for Mercedes vehicles or cars. And then the next time you open your Facebook, you will see adverts on Facebook on the kind of Mercedes car you're looking for, you were searching for on Google. All right. So spywares are programs, malicious programs, or that okay, no, sorry. This is an adware now I'm explaining to you. Okay. So an adware, which is the second one, is what tracks what you are doing online and then begins to send adverts to you based on that. And so adware, sometimes they are not necessarily malicious. They carry out their marketing campaigns to you. So they have these codes that track your activities online without your permission. Now that's what makes it a malware. Okay, it's without your permission. It have access to what you are doing, which is not supposed to be. That is infringing on your privacy. All right, but they are interested on selling products. So once they can do that, they'll begin to sell items. The thing that they were looking for, you begin to see it. You open Instagram, is there. You open Facebook, is there. You open a web page, you just see the advert of that thing all around. So the spyware, the first one which I was talking about, it what enables criminals to get information about your computer. So they spy on you. Sometimes they use keystroker or keyloggers. All right. So when your computer is infected, and then you turn on your computer, as you type your password, it is taking note of the keys in their sequential order. And so they will know, oh, this is the password to your computer. When you're doing your login transactions, they may not see your desktop, but they are spying on it through keystroke. Okay. So as you type in the passwords, it takes cognizance of that based on the sequential order, and it will know your password and all of that. So it's very, very important that we change some of these things very frequently. As a matter of fact, it's like 3 months, you manage your passwords if you can. All right. So that's for spyware. They spy on your activities, steal information for later use and purposes. And on the scareware. Now, the scareware, have you ever opened an app on your computer or such as, and then they begin to tell you your antivirus has, oh no, they tell you your computer has been compromised. There's a virus on your computer. Click on this to scan your computer and remove those viruses. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry, just a moment. Yeah. So that's what the scareware does. It scares you to make an irrational decision. It tells you your computer is expired, your antivirus is expired. Click on this to renew. Or they tell you that your subscription has ended and your system will not function in the next. It will even put a counter. It says if you don't click this after 25 minutes, your computer will fail or something like that. They just bring that as an adware, flashes on your screen, like pop-up. And so you get scared and say, ha, my computer has been attacked. Let me click it too. And then when you click it, it runs a fictitious program whereby it looks as if it is scanning your computer, and then it'll be showing you breach on your documents, breach on your pictures, breach in this, password stolen, blah, 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 and then tells you, oh yeah, 40-something compromise on your computer, click on this to buy this, and when you click on that, you just send some of these things into your computers and granted them access. So they scare you into taking a rational decision. So be very careful. Sometimes they tell you you have subscribed to this thing and your subscription is about to expire, and you've never downloaded or subscribed to any of those services. So it's important you be cognizant, you take cognizance of some of these things and be careful. All right. Yeah. So how do these things get into your systems? And one of the ways is through spam. Spam is, emails that have been sent to you and you unknowingly clicked and opened them. So we call this phishing attacks, all right? So they send bulk messages to different emails addresses, and people just open them and click. Sometimes just opening those emails will compromise your system, all right? Yeah, so these are the phishing attacks. So phishing is a form of fraud. So cyber criminals use email, instant messaging, or other social media to try to gather information such as login credentials or account information by masquerading as a reputable entity or person. You know, so you receive those emails and you think they are the regular people you receive information from, and then you click, they send you a link, click here to register or do all of these things, and before you know it, you're gone. So whenever they send these attacks to you via email, it's called phishing, all right? Now there's another phishing, it's called spear phishing. Now spear phishing is targeted at a particular victim. There's a specific person they're trying to reach at. Think about an organization like NiPost. If they want to have information to all the data, they want to look at maybe the webmaster or the data server manager, or maybe they are looking at the postmaster general. So they make a spear phishing. They say that this one is targeted to this person. So they gather information about that person and customize an email. So it's not generic, it's not random, specific for that person. So for example, a criminal learns that the target is interested in cars and has been looking for to buy a specific model of a car. So the criminal joins himself discussion groups like where that person was. So like I said, it's to target a specific person. So they come and find out about that person. What does the person likes? Does he like cars? Does he like watches? What other groups does he belong to? So they go and find out the kind of things you click on more frequently or what you are looking for most frequently. And then they customize an email that talks to that thing that you are looking for at a crazy, impossible price. And they send that email to you with a heading that is captivating. And so when you see that and click on that, they get you. So that is spear phishing, targeted as a specific person. So we have other kinds of phishing. We have the vishing, that is voice communication technology. Criminals can exploit legitimate source of voice over IP. You know, you might receive a recorded voice that appears to be legitimate. Now, in the age of our AI right now, most of you could believe me that your voices can be synthesized. Some of us use those tools, those AI models, all right? Whereby you get a synthesizer, it asks you to say certain words, it will get the vibration, your vocal sound and everything. And whatever you type and post there, it will say and read those things with your voice. You will think it is your voice. They could say anything they want to say to anybody with your voice. That's vishing. So don't always believe because you heard someone's voice on phone. You say, I heard it is my mom, is my aunt, is my friend. I've heard his voice. Even video. Now, a couple of months ago, 2 months ago to be precise, they've carried a massive heist. They stole millions of dollars in a company from an accountant, where he actually made a video call with his boss, telling him to send certain money. So they send email and then everything. So they are organized criminals. They have, you know, set up these things. And then with deep fakes rather. So deep fake models can create your facial, you know, features and voice synthesized. And so you will see the person talking to you, and yet it is not the person talking to you. I mean, we could see that. Some of you, I'm sure you must have been victims of some of these attacks, but you don't know. Well, not directly to you. if you go on TikTok, YouTube, you will see Donald Trump saying and doing certain things. You'll see Vladimir Putin doing and saying certain things, but it's not the one. They're just some of these tools that they use. All right. So you be very, very careful. So don't assume that because you've seen some video and stuff, and they cause a lot of trouble. People see things and they say, oh, I saw you do this and do that. You may want to be very careful. It has been complicated, you know, a great deal now. As a matter of fact, there are committees and organizations that have been set to manage this AI craze that is going around across the world. They want to know what is admissible or not because of how these things have come up, and the rate of crime has escalated because of some of these things. So you want to be very careful, all right? Policies are changing all over. Before they say that until you see or you hear the voice of the person, but now technology has bypassed that as well. Yeah, so smishing is through short messages, SMS, okay? They use that to attack you. Farming is impersonating a legitimate website, okay? So there are people that can impersonate NiPost's website. So you just go on and you open NiPost page. Just a little thing, you just click, it will redirect you. I don't know if you've lately, you see when you want to open a page, when you click on something, it redirects, it opens another page. Yeah, so these are some of the farming, you know, attacks. So it just redirects you to that place, and you will think you are on NiPost page, but you are not. You will think you are on banking online page, but you are not. You put in your credentials, your password and everything. They will harvest everything. And at the end, you just see that it's not working, and you thought, well, maybe network issues or blah, blah, blah. And the next thing, you begin to see credit alerts. I mean, debit alerts from your account. You know, someone is carrying out his attack on you already. So we have whaling attack, all right, which is targeted as a profile of an organization. Okay, so whaling, it's major, all right? Yeah, so let me run quickly how to identify fake websites. Let me see. Wow, our time is far gone. I don't know if we're going to be able to finish what we have on cyber, you know, security. Yeah, but it's important we understand and know these things. Well, one good thing to how to identify fake websites, there are key features. Let me jump into it. Analyze the source of the website link. This is very, very important. You need to have this sense. You don't have to be an IT guru or whatever it is. I mean, if they're going to attack you, they won't determine whether you're an IT or none. So you need to know these things, all right? So most website links come from somewhere. Yeah, there's a domain they're coming from. So you search results, social media sites, friends messaging you, and all of that. So fake website and links also are not an exception. So people create them from somewhere. So if it's coming from the wrong source, there's what we call the URL. It's going to be different. The source to where you are is going to be different. It's not authentic. So there's you need to understand what, well, this is more for those who are going in professionally on cybersecurity and all of that networking. Yeah, so you need to understand how the URL works. So there are questions you must want to ask yourself as you look at the address of that link. It says, always check the source of the link you plan to open. If it's an email, look at the sender, the content, and the signature. I'll show you a little bit of those as we go on. And other phishing emails giveaways. Okay, so ask yourself whether you expected this email and does it make sense that you are getting it. All right, so you know, some of us fall into some of these scams. They'll tell you, oh, you just won you know, 5 million lottery. So you begin to think to yourself, have I done any lottery before that I've won right now? So you see, but there are people that are greedy. They were like, whoa, money means road. they say, click on this to claim your money now, instant cash. And you go ahead and click it. They'll say, put your bank details and all of this to you. They'll just, they'll work on your greediness. So you must ask yourself, are you expecting that email? Someone will tell you, oh, job application, you've gotten a job offer and at NNPC or customs or wherever that is the most lucrative, as it were. And you did not apply, all you need, just go and start putting in your details. So they work on your greed, all right? So you better ask yourself these questions, very important, before you click some of these things. Now, it's very important because we are in an organization, NiPost, where you receive information online, email, organizational email, resources being going up and down, and correspondence within staff. So it's important we take note of these things, because through that, they will get into your organization and carry out damage. And when forensics go out there, don't say, I didn't do anything. If it comes in through you, they will trace it. They can trace it back to you wherever you are. All right. So social media and online forums are full of fake posts and comments written by bots and trolls. These are not human beings. These are just computer programs that carry out those things. So you must be cognizant of that. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so now this is an example here. Check the domain name. Like now, this is www.google.com, right? It looks like a legitimate website. And so sometimes you must understand how to check. When you hover now, if you can see my mouse on the screen right now, I'll hover over this link. Now, did you see a little link just appear just under it? Let me take it off. When I put it on the www.com, you see the mouse turns to a finger, and then you see a link down there, https:// then duckduckgo.com. Wow. So www.google.com is just a mask. The real site is duck.go.com. So they mask some of the hidden sites under those real ones. So sometimes when you just carry your mouse, hover over it, right beneath your web page, the full original link will display. And so if it is not the website, you may not want to open that page, or you may not want to carry out transactions. Sometimes you see a page showing you this is UBA website. Hover over the link just like I showed you now. It will show you the original one. It will just appear just like you've seen here, or under the web page, on the whole web page. If you go down at the elements environment down, you will see the original link will appear there. Very, very important you take note of that. Okay. Let me jump. You're going to have this material, okay? It's self-explanatory, and then you'll be able to see. Now, look at this. This is a Facebook page, right? But look at the Facebook address. https www.facebook. Now, this is not this is not OO. This is not book. This is B00K, not BOOK. So they will change a few letters here and there and makes it look like it is Facebook. All right. And then you just go ahead and put in your details, and your Facebook account will be hacked. I'm sure probably some of you must have experienced that hack. All right. So you may want to be careful, look at it very carefully, and know and be sure that it is the domain name that is properly written there. Sometimes they change a whole lot of things, and before you know it, you and then sometimes if you see here, they put the correct name first and then the fake name after, or they'll put the fake name first and then the correct name later. Now, this is a site for MSN, all right? So it said MS Online Services at Microsoft Online. I mean, you would think this is Microsoft. What is MS Online doing with Microsoft? These are two different entities entirely. And so they masquerade the fake name and then end with the correct name. So you think that, oh, I can see Microsoft online. And as a matter of fact, check out the spelling of the Microsoft. It's a wrong spelling. Micro SFRT for online. Very, very fake. So, you know, sometimes we read with our minds, not necessarily with our eyes. Okay. So you think it's Microsoft because you see the letters in place and then you find out it's wrong. So very important. We check these things out. So inspect the certificates. Are we able going to do that? I wanted to go online so I can show you some of these things, but well, you can go through the material, okay? It's self-explanatory. When you go to the address bar, you click on this padlock on the top left corner of the address bar. It's going to give you some of these things and it will tell you validity of some of this. Like for PayPal now, this is PayPal page. When you go and click that padlock, I wanted to do a live demo right now, but our time is fast spent. Now we have data protection to also cover this thing. All right. So when you click on that, you can see the certificate. The certificate is www.paypal.com. So it's legit, okay? And it will give you the connection. There are other information that it will show you the person that certified PayPal. If you go to NiPost website, you're going to see our own providers as well. Those that give us the certificate to have our website. It's all there. And there are organizations around the world that are permitted, that have the license to. So if they are not amongst those, you may not want to transact with that, you know, site. Okay, so well, I may want to stop for cybersecurity now. These are the materials I'll give you. You can go through it and you can try out some of the examples I put out there and then see how it works out for you. There are website checkers. If you're not sure of the site, I put them up here, and there are many others actually. If you go put in your information, it's going to tell you the validity of that website. This one will even tell you if it is a phishing site. It will flag it, tell you how many phishing campaigns they've carried out, all right? And so you want to avoid that. Unfortunately, we may not be able to do that now because of the time we have. We're supposed to stop this training by 1 and it's almost 12:30. So I'll send the material in the group. We're going to have it, okay? And I think we've come to the end of this training for cyber security. All right. So we're going to go into data protection right now, which is very, very fundamental as well. Let me stop sharing this and then go into that. Now, okay, maybe let me entertain just 1 or 2 questions as regards cybersecurity, or do we complete the training first before we answer questions, or we can take for this and then we go into data protection? Okay, so maybe I'll just go into data protection and then after that we can entertain questions. All right. Yeah, so let me broadcast that now. Yeah, so yeah, so Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so now we'll continue and look at data protection. All the same, they work hand in hand. So if you can secure your systems, cybersecurity helps you protect the tools you use to collect and gather people's information. And so that is the first level of security in safeguarding people's information. And then there are other aspects also that you need to know and understand and deploy as regards disseminating people's information out there. All right, so we understand what NiPost does in this digital age, okay? And so we have this organization, NDPA, Nigerian Data Protection, NDPC, Nigerian Data Protection Commission, which is commissioned by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And then he passed the act. You know, the act was in 2023 by the president on the 12th of June, 2023. He passed the act. And this act is the law or policy that guards, you know, how Nigerians, you know, handle data as it were. Okay, so it has objectives, and you know, one of the objectives is to establish the establishment of the NDPC and Governing Council, which we already have, appointment of the National Commissioner and other staffs, which we already have, financial provision, principles of and the law, lawful basis for governing processes and personal data, rights of data subjects. We're going to see who is subject and processor and, you know, okay. We're going to find out who all these are, and then the security of the data, the cross-border transfer of personal data. Now, we may not go into all of these details, all right, but just so that you understand what NDPC is being set up to do, and then registration, enforcement, the legal proceedings, and other miscellaneous provisions. So our objectives of NDPC as it were today, which has been set up, is to safeguard rights and freedom and interest of data subjects. Data subjects are customers to you. So NiPost as a data regulator, okay, why I said so is we have information, we are data processors, okay? We receive people's information and we process them. We're going to see how that works out. And so, secondly, it provides for the regulation of personal processing. It promotes data processing practices and safeguard the security of personal data, privacy, and subjects, ensures personal data is processed fairly, lawfully, and in an accurate manner. Very important that we understand these things as NiPost staff, and protect data subjects' rights. So your clients, customers that come and then fill in their names, they give us their names for business, how to safeguard this information. Ensure controllers and processors fulfill their obligation to data subjects. So NiPost is a controller because we have data controller because we collect so much information. And some of us, the HR, the EMS people on the counter that use the information for further processing, okay, processors, and then, you know, of course, the subjects, and then the DPOs. We're going to look at all of these details. And 7, to establish impartial and independent regulatory commissions, strengthen legal foundations for national digital economy. Now, Nigeria has gone digital. Everything is e-government, this, e-that, e-finance, everything, e-school. And so we need to safeguard the interest of the public right now. So cybersecurity is safeguarding intruders from, you know, infiltrating But for data protection is to safeguard the interest and the information of the people so that it doesn't go out there unlawfully. All right, so the essence of NDPA first is to ensure the security and safety of Nigerians' personal data by providing reasonable principles, guiding data processing. All right, so we have, the second, it prevents any possible breach of personal data and data manipulation to detriment of the data subjects. Now, it should not be altered against the interest of the subjects. And then it bestows upon Nigerians the rights to withhold or not to withhold consent when it comes to giving out their information on personal data for processing. We're going to see some of these details, whereby the subject will decide he wants the organization to use the information or not to use the information for further processing. Okay, so it gives Nigerians business a competitive edge in international trade over other countries without a data protection regulation or any form of act created to provide security on a company or an individual's information. And then the fifth one, the NDPA is in tune with global best practice, which is splendid for the country's image. Very, very important. All right, so this is the chairman of NDPC. All right, is Dr. Vincent Olatunji, has the national chairman, national commissioner, I beg your pardon, is the national commissioner for NDPC, Dr. Vincent. All right, so you may go to some functions and program and then you see him. Just know that this is the commissioner, the first commissioner for NDPC here in Nigeria. All right, so let's see what it holds for us. So what are organizations doing to comply? So organizations are into the data quality drive to access data, accuracy, and data that is no longer required on a system. So process it. Those that are in the system for use, make sure it's accurate, and those that are not needed anymore, what do you do with this information? We are going to see all of that. So updating data, protecting privacy, regulated policies and procedures. Very good. The third is awareness campaign through face-to-face training across all staff. And that is one thing we are doing right now, awareness campaign, so that you don't say you are not aware. Trust me, it is no more an excuse. The act has been passed. The law has been passed. So any offender will face, the law. So please pay attention. After the training, I'm going to share the act on the group, the law, so that you can have access to it and see what it holds for NiPost. So mapping data transfer to identify all data flow outside of Nigeria and all of that. So, okay. So when we talk about data, it talks about personal information. That's just what it is. That's the data we are talking about here, okay? Your personal information is very key. So personal information, also known as personal data, is a piece of information that can be used to identify a living individual, either on its own or in conjunction with other pieces of information. So anything that can give me a lead to a person is personal information or data, okay? So it includes any expression of opinion about the individual and any indication of the intentions of the data controller or any other person in respect of the individual. So it also includes everything relating to a person's personal activities, regardless of the medium used. So the hard copies, digital, photocopy, recorded emails, etc. These are all personal or individual data that we must safeguard, very important. So types of personal data, I mean, it could range from criminal conviction, passport number, shopping patterns, evidence, events, attendance. Like we have a training and people wrote their names and numbers. Those are personal data that you must safeguard. You must not just keep it out there, all right? Recorded personal opinions, people, maybe suggestion box and all of that, people put in information. Even ethnic origin, as you know, trivial as it sounds, disabilities, you know, credit records, your financial detail must not, your IP address, your computer IP address. Now, every computer has an IP address for those of us that do not know, and that information could endanger someone if the wrong person out there has that information, you know, and CCTV image and so many other information. These are information that pertains to persons, even religious beliefs. Okay, very, very important. So now let's look at this data breach handling and response as it relates to the organization NiPost. What constitutes a data breach? So while we are studying, what we are learning here today is how to avoid a data breach. Now we have people's information. How can you safeguard people's information? Now listen, you know, what we know today as regards the consequence of people dealing with customers is something maybe from ICPC, from EFCC, financial crimes and all of that. And we know the litigations that follow after a breach occurs. But it will interest you to know that according to NDPC, NiPost has in so many ways breached the NDPC policies or acts. And so why we're doing this is so that you will know that it is not business, it's not business as usual anymore. The things that have been done and we go free before is not obtainable anymore in NiPost. Letters or parcels can get missing and it will just ruffle it like that and everything will go, but not anymore. People are not aware of their rights as regards their information in NiPost, I beg your pardon. You know, so let's look at some of these things and see and score ourselves with NiPost and see if someone takes an action with NiPost. People just don't know. People go to ICPC, people go to EFCC and all other places to complain. But if they know what NDPC is for and they have an issue and they take the issue to NDPC, it's a different ballgame altogether. Let's look at this. Destruction of items. People send their items across the country, and once anything is destroyed, maybe someone is moving his household items, and you see a TV screen broken, you see seat boxes, pots, breakables, and everything. You've infringed on some of these rights, and NDPC can take that up. Loss of items. I mean, what about that? Has NiPost ever had items that have been sent to someone and it arrived safely without, you know, of course, 99% of items arrive safely, but what about that 1% that gets missing along transit? If they take it up with NDPC, it's going to be a different ballgame altogether. So let's take cognizance of that. So if peradventure it happens around your post office or your GPO or your, you know, your state, you want to take cognizance of that, because once people take these things up with NDPC, the consequences are very bad. Let me mention, if the fault is the organization, as it were, NiPost is going to pay 10 million naira fine for breach, and or 2% of their annual revenue. So if NiPost 2% annual revenue, if NiPost annual revenue 2% of this annual revenue is more than 10 million, then that's what they're going to pay. But if it is less than 10 million, then 10 million they are going to find it out and pay. So you see, if it is an individual that is at fault, you didn't capture the documents properly, you didn't, I mean, like a couple of weeks ago, some staff were queried for capturing an item that was supposed to go to Canada to another country entirely, and it was sent, and the person was waiting for months, didn't see. After investigation, they discovered who sent it, they tracked and found the person that did it, and the person was just, if that person went to NDPC, now that NiPost staff is going to pay 5 million naira or will spend 2 years in jail or both. So you pay 5 million naira fine and you spend 2 years in jail after NiPost have sacked you out and handed you over to NDPC. So it's a serious matter we must not play with right here. So alterations, we have situations where people capture wrong information and data while doing capturing or recording information and saving it on the system or whatever it is. Very, very, it's risky. Someone can come and say that you wrote my name like this or instead of supposed to be, and it is a violation. Unauthorized disclosure of or an access to personal data. We've seen situations where people would open people's parcels or bags or anything like that, unauthorized, okay? So we're not supposed to open or disclose any of this information, personal data. Another area is our pay slips. So some, like the ICT department, who is responsible for giving people their pay slips. And so even the ICT person has no right to just open up the application and then begin to check people's information and data. It's a breach to their own personal, because you have access to all their information. And that is why the regulation comes now that, you know, back then you see someone will come with a list of 10, 15 people with their IBPIS number and said, give me their pay slip. And people would ignorantly just print out the pay slip, give it to the person. You don't even know who they are. You don't know the legitimacy of that person just because he came with his ID card. And, you know, if any of those people on that list goes to NDPC and reports that his pay slip was given to this person, they all both will, you know, be sanctioned. They all will be, will face punitive, you know, measures, as it were. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at some of the messages that, okay. Oh, we have the HOD legal, Elizabeth Dazi. You're welcome on the group. And, oh, okay. All right, we have the SPM also in our midst. Okay, set, just a moment. Okay, so the SPM sends a message. He said he would love a well-delivered lecture. I would have loved to continue with you till the end. However, I have another serious engagement elsewhere now. Forbid me to exit. Have a blessed weekend. Yeah. All right. So he's also curious how some of us have not joined in the training today. Yeah, it's rather unfortunate because it's an online. You don't have to go to a specific location, but it's all good. For those of you that are here, you will have what you know. It's the advantage for you is that you will not fall a victim to any of these things because you are now well informed. All right. Yeah. So IPPIS, I mean, pay slips, we don't give those things. So if anybody is found with another person's pay slip, you can make a case and those fines will have to be paid. So that is why you go to ICT, most ICT departments now, they will not give you another person's pay slip. That person will have to come by himself and print his pay slip, in the first person. So you don't give anybody's pay slip to anybody anymore, because if anything goes wrong, they are going to be indicted. They either pay 5 million or go to jail for 2 years, or both. So it's very sensitive. People's mail, people come and say, hey, I want to track. I mean, I have my friend, they sent something from him from US. It hasn't arrived yet. This is his tracking number. Can you help me just track? And you naively just go on the system and punch it, and then say, oh, the item is in Lagos, that's been there for 2 weeks, or it's on the process, or it's coming from Ibadan, or wherever it is. That is not permissible anymore in NiPost. Why? Because if the said person gets to hear, probably it could be true that the person sent you to check and track for them because they hear you are close to NiPost or you work with NiPost and all of that. That is a breach of contract. And the person can decide to cause trouble and say that this person has detail to my parcel or my documents or my package. And it could be a litigation for NiPost. All right. So let's be guided. All of these things must be in place. So do not treat your work or carry out your task in the office as usual, because once they take it up with NDPC, information as little as whose letter is this, it has to be secured. Don't take it for granted. Oh, let me just open this bag for this person to see. No, the time has passed. All right. I'm going to share the act for us. We're going to see, and you will be guided by that. So when we talk of data subject, we're talking about a natural person who can be identified directly or indirectly via a modifier, such as a name, ID, location, data, or via factors that's specific to the person's physical, physiological, genetic, mental, economic, cultural, or social identity. Very important. Now, we have a data controller. So a data controller is a person or organization. So in NiPost, we have the PMG as a data controller, okay? And as an organization, NiPost also, as regards nationally, as a data controller. And also, so that determines the purpose for which the means by which personal data is processed, which must be in line with the principles of data protection. And that is what we are learning today. Now we have the data processor. This is a person organization responsible for processing data collected on behalf of the data controller. Okay. So these are people over the counter. These are people that receive letters and parcels. These are people that receive cargo. These are people that, collect this information real time. So you are a data processor because you collect it and you begin to process it. Process it by putting it in IPS, CDS for further, capturing and, mailing these things to their various destinations. Okay, so the data processor activities must be in accordance with the governing principles of the processing data on behalf of the controller. Okay, so we have Postmaster General, but the Postmaster General is not the one sending the letters. The person doing the work down there is called the data processor. All right, so let's be informed about that. Okay, so this is talking more about the data subject rights. Now, they have rights. And so sometimes you may not want to be rude with some of them because there is a law that gives them the right. So sometimes when they come and make some certain demands, you may want to be informed now that there are certain things that they have the legitimate right or access to, which you may give to them, and there are some that they are not. So you need to know your own part or side of the rights too. So they have right to be informed. So whatever you're going to do with the information, they need to know. Okay, the right to access, to know what you're going to do with your information, or to have access to their information that you have on your system. So a client can come who have a box with NiPost and say, I want to have information of all my transaction with NiPost. I want to see it, in detail. And they have right to have access to some of these things. Although there might be other things that may pertain to that, maybe some charges for you to gather those information, to print it and all of that. Yeah, of course, they will have to put those bills, but then they should have access to those. To the right for rectification, if anything goes wrong, or some data is not captured properly, or change names and stuff like that. The right to object to processing. They can say, I don't want you to use my information for any further processing in this organization. All right. And then you must not go ahead processing their data. And then the rights in relations to automated decision making and profiling. Okay. All these deals with the HR and all of that, the right to be forgotten. They have the right to say, delete my system, my information from your database entirely. Now you may want to say that, no, we can't do that. We have transaction with you, so we need to store it and keep it. We must not delete it. Your own reason probably may be for investigation purposes in the future time, because you could wake up and say, this happened 2 years ago. And then when they come to investigate, your information is not on the system. So they say, what happened? Why did you delete it? Probably the person is right. So sometimes we want to keep accurate information for that. So there are processes to follow anyway, but they can follow those processes, delete their information, and then certain information will be kept to verify and to have that this person validated or granted access to carry out that activity. So that is the right to be forgotten, the right to data portability, to decide whether your information should be moved from one place to the other, maybe across countries. There are informations we give here that are being processed outside the country, all right? And then the right to restrict processing. Yeah, so you can hold the further processing of your information and your data in any organization. Now, I may not explain this in detail because you will have the material. These are some of the things I just mentioned. And in the law, in the Act, these are where you're going to find them in their sections, all right? So you can make quick reference to them. Yeah, so right to erasure, right to restriction of processing. This is where you can find the section 34E, and right to data portability, just like we just shared. So I will not go through all of this. You have the material to study them carefully. All right, so what breaches do you need to notify the relevant supervisory authority about? Now, this is very crucial. So you need to understand what the breaches are, and then what kind of breach do you need to escalate? And as we're going to see a little later, let me see our time. Oops. You're going to see how you can actually escalate a report when a breach occurs. So you only have to notify the relevant supervisory authority of a breach where it is likely to result in a risk to the rights and freedom of individuals. So the only thing you need to forward or report is when it risks the right and freedom of a subject. Okay, so other forms of breaches, you may not need to relate that to them, but if it has to do with their information being exposed out there, or someone is going to take actions that might harm their personality or their being, you may want to report that to the appropriate authority. So if unaddressed, such as a breach is likely to have a significant detrimental effect on individuals, for example, results in discrimination, damage to reputation, financial loss, loss of confidentiality, or any other significant economic or social disadvantage to a subject. That is what you want to report to. Okay, so what information must a breach notification contain? So the nature of the personal data breaching includes, where possible, the categories and approximate number of individuals concerned, and the categories and approximate number of personal data record concerned. Very, very key. This is talking about volume as it were. So the name and contact details of the data protection officer. Okay, yeah. So, okay. Trying to talk about formats now. In a training earlier, we tried to look at who the data protection officer is, most especially here in Abuja as a state and nationally. And so if you are following us from your own state, do you know your own data protection officer? They call it DPO. So every state should have a data protection officer, which have been assigned sometime, I think last year or thereabout. Yeah. Or was it? Yeah. Last year, or was it early this year? I think. So you need to find out who is the data protection officer in your organization, and you get their names and numbers. Now, it's actually a team. At the very end, we're going to see a team that comprises of the data protection officer. That is a team, all right, of people that are involved, and we're going to see that as well. And okay, so when do data subjects need to be notified? Now, data subjects are your clients, and when do you tell them that there's an issue? Now, it's expected that when there is a breach, okay, there is a time limit that you must communicate that to the NDPC. It's actually 72 hours. Yeah. So within 72 hours, you must communicate about that breach to the NDPC. Else you would have breached the protocol, and then you will be fined for that. But as soon as it happens and you discover it, you may want to communicate to, you may want to investigate and then communicate to the NDPC. And the subject that is affected, the client, the customer that have his items missing or exposed to the public, which is going to be detrimental to them, you need to inform them as well. So a high risk means the threshold of notifying individuals is higher than for notifying the relevant supervisory authority. So sometimes you may want to reach NDPC first before the client, and then sometimes you may want to reach the client first before NDPC. Now, there are indices that necessitates which steps you take first. And as you go through the act, you're going to see a whole lot of more information on. So what we're doing here is just giving you the basic information you need to know. So how do you notify the breach? A notifiable breach has to be reported to the regulatory authority within 72 hours of the organization becoming aware of it. Okay, so the NDPC recognizes that it will often be impossible to investigate a breach fully within that time period and allows you to provide information in phases. Okay, so very, very important. So the last point says, failing to notify a breach when required to do so can result in a significant fine by NDPC. It is well and clearly stated in the Act, but I mentioned to you earlier, 10 million for organizations, 5 million for individuals, and or 2 years jail term. So what information must a breach notification contain? All right, so these are what you need to capture when there is a breach. When you are relating to your boss or your DPO comes and is making an audit of what happened, these are informations: the name, the contact details of the data protection officer, the organization, and one other contact point person. Okay, well, I think we've gone through this slide already. Sorry. Okay, I think my slide is okay. Sorry for that. Or do I have a malware on my system that is taking control of my computer? A backdoor or rootkit. Yeah, because it's controlling itself by itself. All right, so okay, so availability of okay, sorry, no, I need to touch on what you should do to prepare for the breach reporting. So you should make sure that your staff understands what constitutes a data breach, and that is more than a loss of personal data. You should ensure that you have an internal breach reporting procedure. Now, we don't have those processes in place yet and needs to be put in place, okay? Is in place. This will facilitate decision making about whether you need to notify the relevant supervisory authority or the public. All right. So in the light of the tight timescales for reporting a breach, it is important to have robust breach detection, investigation, and internal reporting procedures in place, which we are actually working and building at in this organization. So a look at data security breach affect, okay, how they affect us. All right, let me just jump to, yeah, okay, so confidentiality of breach is very, very important. I will not go through all this, but you can read it. And if you remember, all of these features are in cybersecurity: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So confidentiality is making sure you secure, okay, confidentiality data breach involve the authorization, unauthorization, disclosure of or access to sensitive, private, or confidential information. So here are some examples. So people must not have access, like in the medical line now, to people's health result. And someone may have an history that is only privy to the HR or the records department, and it should not be out there for the public, to see or have access to. So in your organization, if you don't want to be indicted, I remember back then, even at the headquarters, where you're walking into the White House, at the porch right there, you see files piled up of staff, employment, your history, your record. It's all stacked there. Everybody have access to these things. Now, there could be a major case that could go with any individual that put information out there like that without properly safeguarding it. So you begin to check in your post office, in your environment, do you have any information or record of individuals, clients, staff that is not properly secured? That is a confidentiality breach. Integrity breach involves the unauthorized modification or manipulation of data. They give you an information, you change it, and which can lead to significant harm or consequences. I told you about a mail that was sent to a different country. That is, you modified the original information. And for some, maybe you want to change your age. You entered at age 40 into service, and then you change your age to 25 so that you work extra years. So we've seen how people go and manipulate some of this information. They change their age. This is integrity breach. Some go and change the scale or the weight of items so that they can earn more money, from clients paying. This is integrity breach, all right? And some may get clients and say, this your items is 10,000 naira. Okay, what we'll do is pay 5,000 naira and pay 7,000 naira, and then I'll send it to you, but you give me cash, I'll do the payment for you. And so when the person pays, you put a wrong scale or a wrong declaration of the item, and then you pay less and pocket the rest so that items will go. Integrity breach. Very, very bad. And we must not continue in that. And then availability breach. Incidents that disrupt or degrade the availability of data or services, making the temporary or permanently inaccessible. Now, availability is when people cannot have access to information. Somebody wants to track and trace his items, and then the site is down, and that information is, they must have it. Or maybe they need an information and they're supposed to have access to the customer service or whatever it is, and nobody's giving them access. So that is availability breach. It could affect their whole transaction. It could change everything. Maybe receiving a document for an interview or something, medical, travel, or health, or whatever, and that information, he doesn't have access to it, it's a major breach, all right? And you can see examples of organizations, global organizations that suffer that breach, as it were, all right? So DPO, data breach process responsible, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so these are the kind of things that we want to check out for. This is the responsibility of a data protection officer. Identify volume of information involved, notify information security team and work with them, identify if the regulators need to be called, notify your legal team and CEO. Those letters need to be sent to affected persons. These are subjects now. And then you record the events by the second. So you say this thing happened on a Friday, 2:45 p.m. the exact and location. Record is very, very important. So I will not disturb us with this. These are things we can just go through and understand. The data breach notification procedure, all right, and who to contact, staff data breach processes, all right, and follow company procedures, what systems are affected, what teams use the system, trying to find out who did what at what time. Does the system contain personal information and all of that? And then data breach processes responsibilities and DPO, data breach process and responsibilities. This is for those who are DPOs, and strategies to ensure legal compliance and avoid penalties. Now, we can also look at these as some fundamental things that NiPost needs to do to avoid, penalties that may come, okay? So these are some legal advice. So understand applicable laws, which you're going to send, compliance assessment. You must have to go through this, it's something we do as an organization every year, all right? So you may want to go through these as well. All right, so lastly, we have, these are the managing security incident team. So it depends on your location, okay? But basically, we have the data protection officer, we have the security, we have security department in NiPost. So someone from that department is going to be part of that team. And we have someone from the legal, very important, the account, the HR, and maybe a third party who are NDPCs and NDPCOs, okay? Now, there are organizations that actually monitor our data protection activities. So even though we have DPOs in NiPost, those organizations will be carry out audit and checks from time to time. The one from NiPost is called Flawless, F-L-O-L-I-Z. In case you are asked who is the DPCO, it is Flawless, okay? So these are our DPCOs. All right. So I'm done with this. I want to thank you for listening today. Sorry, I had to rush through this because of our time. We're supposed to just be 2 hours, but because we didn't start on time. This is 1:15. Okay. So thank you all for being part of this training. I want to ask if you have any questions you want to ask, maybe we can entertain questions right now, and other comments from some of the management team, like we have the legal team who is here. They have a great part to play in this also, and all of that. All right, so if you have a question, you may want to raise your hand, and then we go ahead with that. Anybody raising their hand? Okay. All right. Okay. Ogo Oshipolo, you raised your hand. Go ahead, please. You can unmute yourself and ask a question. Ogba, EMS manager in Kubwa here. Your mic is still muted, our manager. Or maybe you didn't, maybe, okay. All right. Any other person wants to ask? We can't hear your mic is muted, Mr. Ogba, EMS manager in Kubwa. Okay. Adeyanju, Nasima, you can go ahead and ask.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I actually want to first acknowledge the efforts of the facilitator for this quite thoughtful and power-packed presentation. It's not really a question, but yeah, I actually got interested when you mentioned the aspect of people trying to in terms of integrity, that people trying to cheat the system and the customer. Yeah. So I don't know if it's possible for NiPost to come up with a strategy that ensures that since we are going digital, it's essential for us to also introduce platforms that ensures that the interaction between customer and the respondents at maybe the counter or the offices is also in a digital platform that screens the likelihood of somebody trying to use human power to influence the effectiveness and the operations of the organization. Mm-hmm. Because without that, essentially, we wouldn't be able to achieve most of these things. These things still happens, and it's an eyesore, really. So I don't know if the ICT department and the management can come up with something that ensures that there is this kind of transparency that screens out the interactions of human errors, that defaces the efforts of the management and essentially that of the Postmaster General in ensuring that the digital practices has come to stay. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. That is very, very thoughtful there. And, you know, it will go a long way, actually, if they can remove or bridge that barrier between the clients and the service provider, such that everything will be, you know, open, so that there's no secrecy. So whatever transaction that is going on is open, it's on the platform, it's on the system, everybody could see it. And it's very, very key. And so I'm going to take note of that and make that recommendation to mitigate such kind of activities. But I think that probably may be one of the things that the PMG is deploying, the use of POS, whereby you must not pay with cash anymore. It has to be a POS transaction, so that whatever, if you like, you can do whatever transaction, it goes to the government, and once it gets into that system, it doesn't come out anymore. But I think the suggestion you made will go a long way to reduce such activities. Thank you very much for that. You know, thoughts. Mr. Ogba, your hand is still up. You want to make your comment? Question? Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for this insightful training.
Thank you, sir.
He actually enlightened us on so many things we didn't know before that have to do with cyber security and data protection. But my question on is, for us delivery speed post, for instance, a letter will be addressed to chairman, for instance now, chairman NDLEA.
Yeah.
And it's not the chairman that is signing it by himself from our postman. So I don't know, are we breaching any security? Is there any security breach there? Because it's not the right chairman cannot come down and sign by himself.
Yeah.
So they have a designated officers who are signing the letters for them. I don't know if that one does it breach any law?
Okay. Now, in that regard, now it's an organizational policy. You know, it's the letter going to the chairman, I believe, is not a personal letter. It's to the office. Okay. Yeah. Now, I've dealt with situations where we need to, I did some things at the DSS and quite a number of places, even at the CAC. They have what they call the registry, where all letters go there. So the chairman, like if you send if anybody sends a letter to PMG now, PMG is not the one that will open the letter. It will go to the registry, the secretary will open it, and the PA, they will read and see whatever is involved, and then they will now relate what it is, and then the PMG will now respond, telling them minute it to whoever. So the PMG is not the person that opens the letter and then tries to see. They are designated people. So what the organization do, so organizations have their own policies, all right? Like the one I'm very certain of at the DSS, right? Right at the entry gates, once you bring the document there, they open it and see every content that is inside and then know what you sent before sending it inside. So it's an official letter. He has nothing to hide. Or if there's something secret, if it is personal, then they'll maybe send it to his home or something like that. But once it's official, all the documents are open, you know. So they open it at the gate there. So it's a matter of organizational policy. They can decide to change the policy and say, let the chairman be the one to open it. Then if they open it there, of course, it's a breach. But in this regard, it's an organizational policy, you know, that they have to find the content first before sending it, you know, to them. Yeah, so if that's their policy, it's left to them, you know. So most organizations in Nigeria, I know, you know, once it's the CEO, I think they open it, except maybe for other managerial levels like directors, SPMs, you know, head of units and all of that. They are left to open their own. But once it's mostly the CEO, they have other people that handle their registry. Yeah. I don't know if I've answered your question, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear now.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Any other contributor, comments, question? Okay, so as we round up right now, there is so much to learn, okay? I have been trained, I'm a certified data protection officer of Nigeria, and then I have other certifications that cover with that, in line with also cybersecurity. Now, what I've just given you now is just a summary of a gruesome 1 week training, okay? And then we have 3 other weeks to carry out projects. So it's like a 1 month training and a project carrying out for the data protection. So there's so much you need to know. What I just did is just a summary. So it would be nice if you get interested, look at the act, look for opportunities to get informed as well. NiPost have had one training like that. I think, was it late last year or early this year? I can't remember. So look out for these platforms and join in. The federal government also trains Nigerian civil servants, okay, at the PSIN, Okay, Hasia has a question. Musa Hasia, okay, I'll give you an opportunity now. Where they train Nigerians for free, okay? So look out for these opportunities. If you see any, please register and learn. It's for your own good as well, okay? So that when they breach on your own right, you know what to do. And then you also know how to safeguard so that you don't cross and become penalized for breaching other person's rights as regards to their own data. Okay, so we have Musa Hasia. You said you have a question. Please go ahead. So you can unmute Hasia and ask your question. Oh dear. You need to unmute. We can't hear you. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much for the wonderful lectures. My name is
you.
Asia Musa Iraten.
Oh,
okay, what I want to ask is that is there a department for that data protection in NiPost, or is just a committee selected people that are meant to cover for the data? I don't understand. Then my second question again goes like this. We had an issue on counter, just as you're talking about confidentiality. Understand? So there was a customer that came to the counter to put a letter. So we told her no original documents. We don't collect original documents and ID cards. She said no, it's not any of them. We asked that we should open the letter that she brought, so we'll see the item. And she said no, it's not any of the original documents, and she don't want it open because it's something she don't want us to see. I said okay, but since it's not, we touched the item, it was actually a paper that was inside. So and it was like a 20-gram item.
Yeah.
Later, just a very small letter like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So she said it's not an ID card, and she promised not an ID card, that we shouldn't open it. So okay, we collected it and they sent it to Lagos. Only for them to call in Lagos that it's a check, a blank check. Okay, sorry, no, what that was not happening. She called back. She called and she was looking for the item because there was the person that's supposed to collect the letter said he's not going to the post office, so that we have to deliver it to him personally, and it's already in Lagos. So that's when we knew that it was a check, a blank check. So I want to know, the blank check, is it part of what we are supposed to be collecting is it an original document or so? Because since she said it's confidentiality and you're talking about confidentiality of items, so like I said, let me bring it up. But actually it has gotten to the person where the person that's supposed to have collected it, he has gotten it already, an item.
Okay. All right. Well, I think in this regard, we need a postal, maybe postal security, and then the counter regulators to give us the answer to this. But the generic fact to this is that if NiPost have contrabands, items that must not go, you probably would have risked your getting a query by receiving the document without actually verifying. I'm sure most of us heard, was it last month or last 2 months, where they said they found NiPost, that people were sending drugs, cocaine and stuff like that through post office, and PMG had to go out and defend the reality of that. So what if it could be some contraband inside that thing, So you must act your part. If she will not disclose the content, not in her absence, so don't say that after she gave the document and left, then you say you want to verify. Now you have actually breached our own seat. You have actually breached the contract. But while the person is there, the person should open and verify. Else, the person, you will not collect that thing, because that's how people are being implicated. So you must verify. Don't take people's word for. It can be very, very crazy. But I don't know if a blank check is one of those contrabands that NiPost put that should not be sent, in that regard. I don't know actually if that is the situation. But if you find out that that is it, don't just take people's word. It is not. They have to open it and verify. If not, you are the staff that accepted it, sign and send. If it's discovered over there that it is not accepted, you will be penalized for that. So I'm not sure if a blank check is part of that. My own area basically is in the IT field, providing their network service and IPS, CDS running functional for you. But I wouldn't know the policy that governs if a check is not part of this. Okay, so we have another. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, what about the data protection officer?
Yeah, so it's not a department. In NiPost right now, we don't have a department, but it's a team for now, okay? We have the National Data Protection Officer for NiPost, which is the Director Digital Transformation in NiPost, okay? And then we have the other sub-DPOs in every, so it's not as a department, it's still working as a team, as it were. In fact, most organizations in Nigeria, we've not gotten the part that is a whole department for that, but you just have a team whereby you have people from different departments. We have legal, HR, accounts, IT, postal security. Yeah, all of these work hand in hand to safeguard, all of these things. Yeah. Okay, so Queen, yeah, you're welcome then. Queen, you have a question, and then we'll wrap up. It's 1:32 already, so that people can go ahead with their weekends. Are you there, Queen? Struggling with your microphone? Queen Michael, I think you're from PSIN.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Welcome on board.
Thank you, sir. Sir, please, my question is on data analysis and HEO of information. Do they work hand to hand? That means their duty, are they the same?
Okay, sorry, come again. Data what?
Data analysis and HEO of information, higher executive officers. Do they work hand to hand? Do they do the same thing?
Okay, I don't know. Is that a unit in NiPost or generically? Because I don't know. Are they okay? Data analysis and H what?
HEO, higher executive officer.
Higher executive officer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, okay, the higher executive officer, what is their job description and organization now? I'm sure that's not, we don't have that office in NiPost, do we? I don't think we have that. And when you talk about...
But someone that
hello, sir. He's talking...
Okay, someone help me understand the question.
About the rank, the data analysis. He's talking about the rank.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, it's about the rank.
It's about the ranks. He's talking about the higher executive officer and the data analyst.
Oh,
no,
the data protection officer and the...
Okay. That's what he's talking about.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes. Now they work hand in hand. Okay. So like the data protection team, they work hand in hand. In one of the slides, if I post it, you will see whereby they report information to even the CEO. As a matter of fact, the data protection team work with the highest authority in the organization. So like in a state like Abuja, the data protection team will relate directly to the SPM, who is the highest level of authority in NiPost Abuja FCT, okay? And in the national, the data protection team will relate to the PMG directly, not to any director, not to any governing council or whatever it is. They relate directly to, in fact, they are supposed to be in every management meeting to facilitate or protect the interest of NiPost as it regards data protection and clients. So every management meeting, the data protection officer must be present according to the act. So if you read the act, you're going to see how they interact. So they will work hand in hand with higher executive officers where they want to carry internal audits to understand their workflow and then to make sure that they are not going outside or contrary to the standard or the organizational policies so that they don't get into trouble. Okay, so it's like you now saying, okay, let me look at the checklist when you come to office to make sure that this is in place, this is in place, this is in place, so that clients may not come and complain that their letter is missing, or this address is not there, or that information is not there, or the letter got there and the phone number is wrong, and it becomes a problem. Now NiPost starts sending parcels back and forth, and the client might have issues with the service. So the data protection officer does not report to any other managerial officer except the highest in that level of organization. As a state in NiPost is the SPM. From the federal, from the national is the PMG directly. I don't know if that answers your question. Okay. Yeah, so in the ranking, they can work in any other department. If there's issue in the EMS, they can go and see how they resolve the, if there's a breach in EMS, they will all rally and work there. If there's a breach in parcel, there's a breach in the counter, if there's a breach in any other department, they will all work together to mitigate that. But their final outcome and report goes to the SPM as from the state, and at the national level, it goes straight to the PMG. Okay. All right. Okay. So do we have any more questions? All right. So I want to thank every one of you for taking time to be part of this awareness campaign on cybersecurity and data protection as it affects us in NiPost. This is the maiden edition, and there are going to be subsequent trainings that is going to get us aware, okay, on how to safeguard and mitigate our systems and the tools we use to carry out our work, and then protecting customer information from getting out there without prior authorization. So thank you all that participated. Thank you for contributors. Nasima, Queen, and Ogba from Kubwa. Thank you for your contributions. It's quite enlightening, and we'll take note of some of the recommendations you made, most especially Nasima. We will take that recommendation and then see if there are ways we can follow through to make NiPost a better place. Thank you, Mr. Phillips, for your appreciation. We hope you come and visit us someday from Lagos in Abuja. All right, so till then, have a wonderful and a pleasant week. I'm going to post the video link on the chat group, okay? So if you want to see it again, that will be fantastic. It's going to be a link whereby you can follow through and then see training again. The materials is going to be posted also on the group for your consumption. And that will be it. Have a wonderful weekend and the next coming week ahead. Thank you, Nana Aliyu from Kogi State. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Deborah, Adeni, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, much appreciated. All right.